Hi, my name is Nick with RC Mowers. Today we are going to be changing out a drive actuator on our XP model line of mowers. The drive actuator procedure is the same left and right. Today we will be working on the left-hand side actuator. First thing we're going to want to do is take a pair of side cutters and remove the zip tie that holds the wiring for our actuators. We are then going to disconnect the wiring for the actuator that we want to change. And move that aside. After that, we will take a 10mm socket with either a ratchet or an impact driver and remove the two screws that are holding the actuator to the mount. Can then remove the mount and set it aside, as that will be reused. For our next step, we're going to want the mower deck in the lowest position possible. We're going to take a 9/16 socket and remove the screw that holds the actuator rod to the transmission. In between the transmission and the actuator rod are two washers, so we want to watch for those. And we also want to support the actuator, as this screw is the only thing left holding the actuator in place. Once we get our screw and our two washers out of the way, we can then remove the actuator from the machine. When installing our new actuator, we want to ensure that we install a M8 washer, flat washer, between the actuator and the actuator mount. To start with, we'll set the actuator in the machine from the top, rest it on the battery tray, and assemble our actuator mount onto the brake bar. Then put one of our M8 washers on there, and using the outermost mounts on the actuator, attach the actuator to the actuator mount. Same with the opposite screw. Get our washer in there. Next, we'll do the next screw. Get our washer in between the mount and the actuator. Screw started. And tighten them down using our 10mm socket. Our next step is to attach the actuator rod to the transmission. We're going to use the hardware when we remove the actuator. We have a bolt with a lock washer. Goes through the arm on the transmission. 2 flat washers go behind that. Then the bolt goes into the heim joint on the actuator. Use a 9/16 wrench to hold the heim joint while we use our 9/16 socket to tighten the bolt. Now, if we've got the heim joints centered correctly, we should be able to get using a pair of vice grip pliers, we can remove the spring from the hydrogear transmission. To allow us to move that transmission arm easier. If we have our heim joint set correctly, we should be able to move the arm all the way up until the socket head cap screw touches the end of the slot for it. And when we're all the way down, there should only be about an 1/8 inch gap behind the socket head cap screw. This will complete the installation of our actuator. From here we will move on to the next video, calibrating our actuators.